Trainer Joe. We were talking earlier about the topic for today, and you were like, well, I have a client who lost 200 pounds in this amount of time. And I was like, we gotta make that our video. That's too good. And I'm surprised we haven't really done a video like this yet. This can be done. This is how you helped this person do it. Get really practical. And let's let more people do it. Follow the path.
I know. I hope that that's what happens. This is people that are thinking, I think this is just who I am. It's never going to happen for me. Really get hope and see, wow, that lady Sherry lost 200 pounds in 15 months.
I began the 21-day program in on May 2nd of 2018. And within 15 months, I had lost 200 pounds.
15 months, 200 pounds. That's fast. Let me tell you how she ended up at my program. So her pastor did my program and loved it, and he invited me to their church. So I'm up there. He's kind of interviewing me to see who's going to want to sign up for this or get more information. Who wants to get more information tonight? So I was going to come back tonight. You remember we went to that? We got pulled over.
Oh, was it that one?
It was that.
Yeah, it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul had never been pulled over before in his life.
And he says, hey, speed up. We need to get there a little more quickly.
Speed up a little bit. And he's Mr. Cautious.
Anyway, it happened. We're fine. He didn't give me a ticket.
But what's funny is the cop that pulled us over, I'd been to that church that morning, and then we were going back that night, and he pulled us over, and he said, where you going? And we said,
church.
This church. And he said, oh, that's where I go to church.
We got out of the ticket, baby.
We got out of the ticket.
Anyway.
So she's in the congregation. She's like, why is this guy here? She said, I know that I'm overweight. I know I should be healthier, but she didn't like that I was there, and ended up she was hoping it was going to be expensive, so her husband she said, hey, I was hoping I could run it by my husband, and he would say, we can't afford that right now. And she said the church was paying a part of it. I had no excuse, so I went kicking and screaming to this program. And she the first 21 days, now she had over 200 pounds to lose, right at 200 to lose. She reached her goal. Which is so amazing. Her doctor said, he said, Sherry, I've never seen anybody lose weight like this without help, like gastric bypass, without going through surgery. I've never seen it before. So it's quite remarkable. But what's remarkable is how unremarkable it is. And she'll say that. She said this was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Oh.
It blew her away at how easy it was. But let's talk about how it happened.
That's interesting. It blew her away because when you hear that someone lost 200 pounds and then that it happened in, what is it? 15 months. That, to me, that's like almost unheard of. So, but the fact
it is.
Well,
it's very rare, but we'll talk about that.
Let's break it down. How did you coach Sherry into the success story?
So she had to make the move. I'm going to do this program, right? And I tell people that's all it's going to take is a commitment and a program, that you'll do. That's all it really takes. And she proved that. She was in the program for a long time. So she did a 21-day transformation and lost like 25 pounds in 21 days. And she said after like 2 days, she came kicking and screaming, but she said after 2 days, I was like, I'm in. And that's a good place to be. So after 21 days, she lost about 25 pounds. She's obviously motivated. And she said, when I started buying these smaller clothes, she said it was just very motivating for me. And in the interview, the clip you'll play or already played, depending when you put that in, she said, and I was at church and my grandson took off running and I ran after him. And she said, that's what keeps me going. Because prior to this, she couldn't run after him.
Sure.
You're 200 pounds overweight. You're not running after much.
So it started with a 21-day transformation, and she loses 25 pounds. That's a feat in itself. That's
right.
That's more than the average.
In 3 weeks, 25 pounds. That's right.
I mean, the average is 10 pounds. She lost 25. So she's feeling like kick butt. Yeah. I can conquer the world.
Yeah.
So what next?
What's next month? So she keeps signing up, and after several of these, she's 100 pounds down, and she's like, well, okay, well. And I had her start helping other people, and she would go and speak at different things. So I think that's motivating too when people see you, and you're now. And she said she was not happy with herself. She was not one to put herself out there, and she said so that was a big difference for her, is putting herself out there and then being looked at as kind of the expert. That was a little bit challenging for her, and she said there were times when I just didn't want to be that person. I just wanted to go do my own thing. And we always have a choice if we want to go back or we want to keep going. And she had to battle through that and work through that.
Well, you got to give us a little more details of what were some of the things she was doing.
Okay, I'm looking for some of the things I wrote down because I've re-listened to our interview that we did.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. Because somebody asked, what are you going to eat over Thanksgiving? Because that was coming up. And she talked about that. And she talked about when she would go out to eat. And she talked about how much she was eating. And somebody asked how many calories a day. And she said 900 to 1,000 calories a day, which is going to cause some people to think, well, I don't want to do that. That's way too little to eat.
So once she started the 21-day transformation, she went from, we don't even know how many calories, a lot, to
probably
around
5,000-6,000 calories a day.
So she
down
adjusted
to about
that
1,000.
pretty quick, like right out of the gate.
And then people say what they're eating. A lot of times they're eating more than that. But she obviously was eating way less.
Yeah.
And it was probably around 1,000 calories a day.
So huge calorie deficit right out of the gate.
Right. Huge calorie deficit out of the gate.
But it was manageable for her, obviously. She stuck with it.
She was willing. She was willing to do it. She said once she started doing the program, she was just like, God just gave this to me. And it was like, this is what I'm going to do now. I mean, this is just my life now. And it just made sense to her. And that's what she did. And she would, and I joked with her and I said, so you go to Red Lobster and there ain't no Cheddar Bay biscuits. She's like, no. And she even brings her own salad dressing and stevia packets.
So she's looking a little weird.
And man, you've got to get to the point, Paul, don't you think, that 200 pounds overweight is more weird than carrying stevia and salad dressing in your purse?
Agreed.
You got to get to where you're like, yeah, that's okay. I can be that weird,
Preaching.
so I'm not this weird. And
Preaching.
it's not a derogatory thing to say weird here. It is, you got to decide what is less acceptable to you. And she did. And that was just, she got to the point, and part of it was that's because what we talk about. You got to get a mindset change. And it's interesting to me how people will say, was this always going to be a battle for me? Is this always going to be hard for me? And I've kind of changed my view on that over time as I'm learning and listening and things too. And there's always a reason for what we do. And when we have a mind change, it's not necessarily always going to be a battle. We can get to where things just that we used to control us don't even interest us.
Okay.
That can happen. Doesn't always happen.
Sometimes
it takes training.
A while.
I believe it takes, a blessing from the Lord in some ways, as we seek a transformation in our thinking. But certainly, to some extent, that happened with her.
When she pretty quickly went from a lot of calories to about 1,000 calories a day, would you suggest, like, cut it down to 1,000 a day, and what you're eating, the calories from certain foods, isn't that big of a deal? Or would you say, no, it is a big deal? You need to make sure that those 1,000 calories are coming from these foods right here.
Right. Now, that's a good question. I think you'll lose weight regardless, but I think you're not going to be as healthy. If those calories are coming from Mountain Dew and potato chips, and you get 1,000 calories a day, well, you're certainly going to be malnourished. You're living off your fat, which is going to provide some nourishment, and fat is nourishment. We need fat. But if you want good nutrients, you're going to make sure your 1,000 calories aren't coming from ice cream and your kids. So it does matter.
Okay.
It does matter how you're going to feel, how you're going to metabolize your food, and that sort of thing. So you need to be willing, I would say, to do two things: cut your calories, and also choose healthier options. You're not going to be eating a lot of junk. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay. And on your plan,
And she knew that, and she was well aware and well prepared for that, because in our plan,
you have a very specific
very
food
clear,
list, a food list, and these are what you can eat.
she was just like, I'll just keep eating from this food list.
You got a big food list, but it's a
Yeah.
pretty clean food list.
Yeah,
It's a clean food list.
big list, pretty clean, and she would say bread was not part of my life. She did say, now I do have occasional exceptions, but not just for a piece of bread. She said I might have a piece of pumpkin bread, and that's not every day. And that's the thing: when you see somebody losing that kind of weight, you can pretty much assume they're killing it. They're doing almost everything right, and I would say even the pumpkin bread is right, because you're getting it done. You don't have to say no to things you like. If you're getting it done, I don't care.
Yeah.
Why would I care?
Yeah.
But what you asked, should it be healthy foods? Yeah, you want to be a healthy person. While you're losing weight, you don't want to be smoking cigarettes and doing drugs. You want to be reasonably healthy. So you're eating healthier foods.
So Sherry is down 25 pounds. She's kicking butt. What's something else that she did?
She continued on plan, quite strict, I would say, for the first year. And then she will say, I started bringing in some things, but she still kept her calories very low. Obviously, she lost another 100 pounds after the first 100. What else did she say? Did not allow myself to get discouraged. Whatever that means. I did not allow myself to get discouraged.
Yeah.
She said, I did not allow myself to quit because I knew all I really have to do to succeed is not quit.
Oh, you posted a good quote the other day. Guys, make sure you're following Trainer Joe on Instagram and on X, Twitter X. He's on all those. But yeah, you posted something that was inspiring to me, but keep going. I'll find it.
Yeah, was it the Disney one? Most people don't succeed just because they quit. If you don't quit, yeah.
The difference between winning and losing is most often not quitting.
It is.
Walt Disney.
Isn't it?
Go on. So that's good. Good for her. Good for Sherry.
Yeah, she said I had a goal and I was determined to meet it. Somebody asked in the interview we did about her exercise, and she said she has a friend who's a trainer. She met with her some, but she said she would send me exercises to do, and I would do them.
So she was working out.
She was,
consistently.
and one of the blessings, and one of the things I think, one of the reasons it worked so well for her is she really didn't have many health issues. If you can say that and be 200 pounds overweight, and you can, right? Still, she wasn't. She was able to walk, so she could do her walks, even though she had some knee pain. Who wouldn't? But she didn't have any what you would call major health concerns, so she was able to go and exercise and do that sort of stuff, which certainly helps.
Yeah, good for her. But it probably wasn't anything insane. It wasn't like she was exercising 2 hours a day. It was just,
no.
Just a consistent.
Just a consistent. It was probably 30 minutes a day. Some days probably more like an hour, based on what I see. How the majority of people that lose over 100 pounds do it.
Okay,
that's pretty typical.
Great, love it. Loving these practical things. What else? What else does Sherry do?
She said she drinks a lot of coffee. I didn't criticize her for that. She said that in the interview.
Okay.
I don't see any reason to criticize her for that. Drink a lot of coffee. You're losing 200 pounds. Good for you. Enjoy your coffee.
I think I saw Tucker Carlson.
Black coffee.
Was interviewing someone, and they were like praising coffee. They were like, this certain historical figure drank a ton. And they're like, this is...
To me, I just don't need to debate the coffee thing.
It's
It's so many people. You're going to find somebody out there that thinks coffee's killing half the population. Somebody else thinks it's the best thing in the world. I'm somewhere in between. I drink coffee.
Just don't put a ton of...
right. As of right now, I drink coffee.
If you're trying to lose weight, though, don't be doing... I mean, if they're doing your plan...
It's not the coffee that's causing any weight issue. It's what you're putting in your coffee.
And if they're doing your plan... you're not allowed to be doing the...
You're not putting a bunch of crap in your coffee.
Sweet cream or stuff.
Yeah. When she said it was how easy it was, she said, I didn't feel like I had to work hard. It was just my life. And she also said, I never intended to lose it fast. That was never part of the thing. But when you got a lot to lose and you approach it the way she did, which is the way I ask people to do it, it's just going to be fast. That's just inevitable.
When you're that
for
big,
the majority of people. When you're that
well.
big. Yes, when you're that big. She was asked, are you still doing the plan and the food list after losing the 200 pounds? She said she consistently has more than 2 fruits a day, right? During the program, it's 2 fruits a day. I don't care how many fruits a day you have. Is it working for you people, right? I mean, isn't that the biggest thing? Who cares? How many people you think are out there overweight because they eat too much fruit?
Too many apples.
Too many apples. Cantaloupe. That's funny to me how people want to get caught up in something. And that's fine. You want to be caught up in some little thing over here that has little or nothing to do with your issues in life. But people want that. That's a distraction. Right? I have some rules in my program. First time or two you do it, follow the rules. If it's working and you're learning and you're growing, and like Sherry, she decides I'm going to eat more fruit. Great. Eat more fruit.
I'm assuming. So doing your 21-day transformation, she stopped eating after 7:30. Do you think she has continued that? I mean, so when she started your program to 14 months?
Imagine what her life was like before starting this program.
15 months. Through those whole 15 months, do you think she was pretty vigilant of not eating anything after 7:30?
Yeah, and she said that. Yeah, she's very strict about that. When you say very strict, for some people, they would not eat anything after 7:30, like their life depended on it. I don't think she was quite there, but I think probably 90 days out of 100, she's not eating anything after 7:30.
Okay. And that was probably...
And that's pretty typical for somebody that it's working for.
Yeah.
Because when you suddenly...
They're going to get an A.
Yeah.
They may not get 100%, but they're going to get an A.
If you're not going to get an A in the class, then in some ways you got to say, well, I'm just really not taking the class, right? If you're saying, I'm taking calculus and you only show up to 4 of the classes out of the 20 classes, well, did you really take calculus? So it's like you've got to give it a certain level to say you really did it.
Would you say that
She did it.
that piece
very well.
and all this of getting an A by 90 out of 100 days, not eating after 7:30, was that a very significant piece? Like how big a piece of the
Yeah,
pie?
the 7:30 is one of the top 3 things that cause this to be effective, not eating at night.
Okay.
Because you don't have to wonder about it. How much would you have eaten? Oh, maybe 200 calories, maybe 2,000 calories. Who knows? But from 7:30 at night until breakfast, you're getting 0 calories all the time.
Okay.
That works.
Good.
You don't have to wonder.
I like it.
Yeah, because a lot of people struggle. It's the St. Augustine quote. For many, total abstinence is easier than perfect moderation. And when you're trying to decide how much you want to eat after 7:30 at night, it's so much easier just to say nothing than it is. I'm going to have 1 marshmallow and 1 spoonful of peanut butter and 2 of these Tootsie Rolls and just 3 Ritz crackers. And that's it. And a bowl of cereal and maybe 1 Oreo.
And
a glass of milk, of course.
Something
It's like, what the...
Something about that night eating, it's just like it triggers something in your mind of, I just want more. I just want to keep eating.
I want more. I want to feel that way.
This is kind of the last food I'm going to have for the day more. So anyway.
Yeah, this could be it. I could wake up dead and miss my opportunity to eat this bag of marshmallows. You know, we do. Well, I might miss out. I might miss out.
Something in the brain when it comes to nighttime eating, it just turns it into this more. I'm just going to go and eat a little more. That you maybe wouldn't have done around lunchtime, 11 a.m.
Has that happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is common.
It's
happened.
common.
It's happened to me too. But there are times when I'm like, I'm on the weight I want to be, and I'm still like, why am I eating this right now? You know, so I still think about it too.
Yeah.
But it's
Happens
a
even
little
to Trader
different when
Joe's.
you're having a weight issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. What else?
Some people are wondering what to do and where to start, and I always want to make sure they know I have a book. You know.
Where's the book?
And what's kind of cool right now, Paul, here's one over here, is that we're about to have my best book month since this came out in 2019.
Best, even
schedule.
better than the release?
Better than the launch month and everything.
The launch month?
Yes, I was really kind of surprised. I think a lot of it is because of the how well this podcast is doing. People watching this and they're like, I might check that book out. So if you would help me, you can help me make this the best month we've ever had. If you haven't got my book yet, please get my book. It's Only Food by Trainer Joe. Amazon. You can get Kindle or you can get the paperback.
The link is below. It has his food list. And yeah, seriously, like if you've been enjoying this content and you're like, man, this is resonating with me, but you haven't taken the step to do a 21-day transformation or get the book, help this literally be the biggest month of book sales since the even bigger than the launch month. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
that bigger than the launch month.
I'm really excited about it.
Help us, guys. But yeah, the sales have been really good. So shout out to YouTube. Shout out to people going through the 21-day transformation that get the book.
And a couple more things that she said. She said, I plan ahead. So she's going out to eat or somebody's house, and this was kind of rough. She'll ask what kind of food is going to be there. And she was into it. She had to be that into it.
She's being one of
and
those.
And she would say, if I knew there was going to be nothing I could eat, I'll take something. And that, I would rather that not be the case, but what are you going to say to somebody that's 200 pounds overweight? You know, if you were an alcoholic and you called and said what's they're going to be to drink, and they said wine. That's all we're going to have. You might want to bring your own tea.
Fine.
So I'll give her a break for that.
That's a little Karen-y. Excuse me if your name is Karen. We love you, but that's a little. But because of her circumstances,
And I think it's not just somebody inviting you over for dinner. It's inviting you to a party. That's more what she's saying. I'm going to a get-together of a lot of people. Is there going to be a salad there? Are there going to be veggies there? If
Okay.
it's just going to be desserts, I'll take an apple. So it's not so much, they invited me to dinner. We're sitting around at their dinner table, and I pull out my own healthy meal while they eat beef stroganoff. That's not what she was saying.
Okay. No, I'm kidding. Good for
Yeah.
her. Good for her. Again, look a little weird. Embrace looking a little weird.
Yes. Something else she said is that she went out to eat probably 5 days a week.
Whoa. Okay. You should have started with this.
5 days a week.
That's crazy.
But that's what she said. I bring my own dressing. I bring stevia. I don't order the bread. So she's able to do that. She did not eat at home, meal prepping her meals. She ate out.
Wow.
Almost all the time.
That's big.
That is. Of course, she said her doctors were thrilled.
Wow.
Easiest thing she'd ever done. And don't you love hearing that? Guys, what do you think her life was like at 200 pounds overweight? What do you think changed? You know what changed? She just stepped in it. She stepped in the program and said, you know what? Why not? And whether you do mine or not, it's you deciding this can end for me. I do not have to be here. I do not have to stay here. I do not have to live here. And you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. And I just hope it gives people hope when they hear Sherry's story.
To me, it reminds me of your video. I think that I linked this video below in each of your episodes because it's such a good video, but how to lose 100 pounds in 6 months. This video reminds me of that, even though that one I think gets even more specific.
Very specific. You want specifics on it. Now, it's hard to do just with that video, but it just lays it out very simply.
And I'll bring that up in the end screen. I'll do that video.
And then you're going to link the book at the bottom. Is that there too?
Okay. So go watch that video because it's just very practical. It's just like, okay, 100 pounds in 6 months. Do this. But this video kind of reminds me of that in even a more like refreshing, cool way of here's the lady. She doubled that weight.
Shout out to Sherry, by the way. She's awesome. Sherry, I hope you're continuing to do great. If you need help, let me know. Let's stay on it.
That's what this episode.
I gotta do great. Need help? Let me know to the lady.
Be quiet, Siri.
Not Siri. Not Siri.
We
not
don't want
Siri.
you. We're not asking for you.
Siri,
Get out.
Not right now, please.
Quit listening.
You're just interrupting our podcast.
This is freedom.
Anyway, yes. This episode reminded me of that one, but even in a cool, very relatable, hopefully way. So comment below, you guys. Let us know what you thought of Sherry's.
Appreciate your comments. Appreciate
Yeah.
I almost always respond to comments as of now, so
yeah,
feel free to
and I enjoy
comment, say something.
I enjoy looking over them as well. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on what Sherry did, how she did it, what resonated with you, and how you can maybe embrace some of these things and start kicking butt as well. Help us get the biggest sales, the biggest book sales since literally bigger than the launch month.
5 years ago.
Go ahead and pick up the book right now. Link is below. Thanks, guys. We love you. Be blessed. Trainer Joe. Train your brain.
And transform your body.